All right, everyone, good afternoon, good evening, good day, and welcome. I'm Shakitha Jeffries, the Assistant Director of Student Life in the Bloomberg School of Public Health, and I would like to welcome you all to today's Lunch and Learn. As you know, we have one of our esteemed JHSPH alumni here with us, Dr. Lola Adeyemi, who will be talking about how to define success. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Dr. Lola. Dr. Lola is an MD, an MPH, MLA, and she is a co-founder and COO at Magna Carta Health. She's also the founder and CEO of Mentoring Her. Dr. Lola is a physician by profession, but an entrepreneur by design. Whether starting her own preventative health company, launching a healthcare technology app, or beginning a social media impact company that empowers young women to pursue their dreams and reach their highest heights. She pursues her passions of improving people's lives and their communities. As the Chief Operations Officer and founder of Magna Carta Health, Dr. Lola is changing the game in preventative health care in Nigeria. In her role, she bridges health care gaps and increases access to health care with the aid of technology. Magna Carta Health currently serves 15,000 patients a year and counting. Dr. Lola's latest entrepreneurial pursuits includes building an app, Clinic Go To, that helps doctors better serve communities by increasing access to care and launching a new platform, Mentoring Her, that connects female mentees. Mentoring Her is a social networking platform that uses machine learning to virtually connect female mentors with mentees to create meaningful relationships that significantly increase their potential. Dr. Lola received her medical degree from Obasai Abanajo University in Nigeria. She's gonna have to correct me on that. And she received her MPH from Johns Hopkins and an MLA from Harvard University. Dr. Lola shares her perspectives on public health, entrepreneurship, and mentorship in Forbes, Medium, Thrive Global, LinkedIn, and other various news outlets, and speaks at conferences. Overall, Dr. Lola's biggest passion is making a difference, and she works tirelessly to challenge the status quo and to push everything to be its absolute best. I would like to just also add on that Dr. Lola is just such an inspiration, not only to myself, but to those who are those around her. I met Dr. Lola when we were in person. It seems like many moons ago, when she did a session for career services. And I think that Dr. Lola, you have a phenomenal story. And I love the fact that you use your expertise and your knowledge to make our lives, women and patients and others, our lives better. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here this afternoon, putting your patients to the side for just a little bit to share your time and your expertise with us. We are very interested and ready to learn more about how to define success. So without further ado, I would turn it over to Dr. Lola right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakitha.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's Tuesday, and I know there's so many things you could be doing right now. So thank you for spending an hour of your time with me. And so I'm always excited to speak to Hopkins students because I was one many years ago, not that old, but over 13 years ago now, I think. And so I'm always excited when I speak to students at Hopkins because I remember my time there so vividly well. And Hopkins has impacted my life tremendously. Like I say, it has empowered me to empower others. So I think for those of you that might have thought that, okay, you might have sacrificed a lot to be here, I think it's going to be well worth it in the long run. So I just wanted to put that out there. So success. So in order to succeed in life, right, I think it's important that we define success. But what does success mean? And how do we define it? You know, everyone has a different measure of success. And many times we find ourselves, sometimes we don't even think about it, right? Who normally sits around asking, like, am I successful? Am I not successful? I think having a good understanding of what success actually means and where you are in your journey towards achieving success and the obstacles that are hindering your success goes a long way in making you a healthier human being. So we're going to go into it a little bit more. So when some people hear about or see headlines that reference successful entrepreneurs or successful people, we automatically take ourselves out of the equation. Why do you think this is so? I'm going to be asking a lot of questions and I want us to interact. So when they say, who comes to mind? Can somebody tell me when you say, oh, this is a successful person? We take ourselves out of the equation. Can somebody answer? You can chat or you can unmute yourself. I see people smiling.
When I think about successful entrepreneur and people talking, I'm thinking of Beyonce. I don't know about you all, but when they talk about, I'm like, it's Beyonce. Oh my God, Beyonce's in the news again.
Okay, who else?
I think about the Obama family, like our president, the first lady. It's just when I think of how they came, like where they came from and everything, I think that's the epitome of success. Okay. One of the prime examples.
Beyonce, the Obamas. Okay, who else has another definition of who is a successful person? Kathy?
Sure. Yeah, I think of Dr. Paul Farmer, especially as I'm framing up my own career aspirations or hopes, and how he was able to just build such an organization to work with communities and help them with accessing healthcare.
That's great. Okay. Anybody else?
Dr. Fauci. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think of Dr. Fauci and his ability to, stand tall and proud in the public's eye and really do good for the entire country.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, Dr. Fauci's a great one too. So anybody else?
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes, I think success is be able to help the people who cannot help themselves. Like, for instance, the one who cannot raise their voice about injustice, social determinant of health. Then if you be able to help those people to talk for them, so I think it is a success.
So give me an example of a person that you would say.
For instance, like if you know somebody is like, for instance, about the COVID. And right now, there's a movement about the prisoners. So there's people who are in jail just because they cannot pay bond. But they keep them in jail and they have high chance to get COVID. So those people, they do have advocates who are trying to get those people out of jail that they can be with their family and to stay away, try to minimize their risk to have COVID. I think those people who advocate for those who are in need, that's a success.
Okay, so the advocates are successes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you everybody for your great examples of successes. So if you ask me who is a success, I would agree with you, but then I would say I am. Nobody mentioned themselves as successes. And that is the issue, right? The issue is that because society has defined what success means to us, we completely take ourselves out of the equation because we don't necessarily see ourselves as successes, as in the light of the society, as society says. But somebody explained, okay, advocates for, so we'll go into something like that, but Obama's, I agree, they're amazing. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Paul Farmer, Beyonce, all of them are amazing people. However, we took ourselves out of the equation, and this is because society has defined success for us. And in the majority of society's definition and depiction of success, it doesn't necessarily look like you or me. It does not take an but does this, so I'm gonna ask you another question. Does this make it an accurate depiction of success? So does the Obamas, and I guess you're gonna say yes, but let me ask everybody, does the depiction of success, is it accurate? Do you think it's actually accurate?
I would say that looking from where you're coming from, it's kind of unfair. Like, what is it? Is it unfair? Is a word that irrational, maybe? Because we're only using a few people as prime examples to represent 7 billion people in this world. How are we supposed to get to those standards? They're completely high. And that's why you don't think about yourself, because you're always thinking about someone who's above you on that totem pole, right?
Right.
So those standards of success, I wonder if they themselves think they're successful or they're looking at someone else above them too.
That's a good question. Anybody else?
We have a couple comments in the chat box. Louis Gold said definitely not.
Good.
Danielle said relative, conventional definition of professional success.
I can expand on what I was on definitely not also. It makes me think of like the whole, when you look at people on Facebook, they're only presenting the best version of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't compare yourself to that because we're viewing our whole life. Whereas when we look at people on social media, we're only seeing like their curated version of life. And I think of also what Lizzo said when she talked about her rise to success. People were calling her an overnight sensation, and she was like, I definitely wasn't. There were nights where I was like sleeping in my car and stuff like that. So don't listen to people when they say that success happens overnight, because I really had to work for it.
Right. And to buttress your point and what Lizzo said, even Steve Jobs said, if you really look at people that are successful, it's something about, the overnight successes actually took a really long time, right? So to her point and to your point, success is not something that occurs overnight. But what I really wanted to take away here is that the societal definition of success is not, in my opinion, is not an accurate definition of success. And I do agree, some of the people that said, it's professional, it's relative, and et cetera, we'll talk about it a little bit more too. So the Oxford definition, or the mainstream definition of success, and you can decide if it works for you, is as a noun, success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Or another definition is a person or thing that achieves desired aims or attains prosperity. In this regard, we're persons. So so pay attention, achieves desired aims, and then or attains prosperity. Even in that, this suggests that you must have goals or aims, or you must be prosperous. To be prosperous means that you're flourishing, thriving, you have good fortune, you're successful in social status. Again, to me, that's a flawed definition, because how do you measure this? How do you measure something? And we're all public health people, we're healthcare people. If you can't measure something, then sometimes you can't assess the impact. You can, the intangible way, but tangibly, how do you assess the impact that you're making? Or how do you assess something if you can't measure it? So the question that I ask you is, how do we measure success? How do we measure the societal way of success, or the Merriam, the Oxford and the mainstream dictionary terms of success, which is a person who achieves desired aims or prosperity. So if I do not have aims and goals, and I am not prosperous, have I failed in life, or am I failing in life? That's another question. Anyone?
I think sometimes that area gets so tricky because you, or I anyway, but I think a lot of other people do, you compare yourself to others. And then you're like, oh, well, I've done this, but look at this person, like they've done this. Like I have one friend who's super successful, and I've tried so hard not to compare myself to him, because I'm like, but we're in two totally different like areas of like work and education, and even like what country we're from. So I was like, I can't like compare it, but I still do.
Yeah, I completely get you. Anybody else?
I know by society standards, like money is a huge one, fame is a huge one, like curated happiness, that as was mentioned before, like what we see on social media, how happy and fulfilled people make out their lives to be. Those are like indicators of success according to society.
Mhm. Right. But you see, I have a, and I think that's why I'm talking about this, because I really have a problem with mainstream definition of success, because it means that if I don't have goals and aims, and if I am not prosperous, then it appears that success has eluded me, right? And I don't believe so. And therefore, the definition of success is flawed. Okay, so now I've gotten all that out of my system. Let me tell you how I define success. And maybe you can too. Or no, rather, let me tell you how some influential people define success. So Oprah Winfrey, she defines success as how to be used in the greatest service of life. Ask this question and answer, and the answer will be returned to you and rewarded to you with fulfillment, which is the major definition. So in her case, it's like living her life for others, which is great. You know, she believes that the more people that she can impact in her life, the more successful that she will be. That's a great measure of success. Richard Branson, too many people measure success, how successful they are, by how much money they make, or the people that they associate with. In his opinion, true success would be measured by how happy you are. His measure of success is happiness. But you see, all these people, they're successful. They have money already, right? So they can say whatever they want, right? So that's Richard Branson. Warren Buffett is actually interesting. I found it very peculiar. He said he measures success by how many people love me. That is peculiar because, like, how many people are gonna love you? So, but you know what? I respect everybody's definition, because I'm gonna tell you a few other things. It's all personal. If that makes him happy, then he's successful. He's not measuring by how much money he makes. But again, all these people have a lot of money. Remember that. Bill Gates, to him, success is about relationships and leaving behind a legacy. You know, it's nice to feel you made a difference, inventing something, or raising kids, or helping people in need. Again, giving back. Mark Cuban, I love his definition of success. His definition of success is waking up in the morning with a smile on your face, knowing it's going to be a great day. He was happy and he felt like he was successful when he was poor, living with 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor. So his is more about his attitude, right? No matter what goes on, is how he's going to deal with it. I really love his definition of success. And Barack Obama, that brings me to Barack Obama, an interesting guy. Somebody has brought him up already. So it's an interesting human being because he is measured on success on so many levels, right? As a president, I'm going to ask this question. Did he succeed as a president? Anybody?
That's a tricky question.
I know.
Because it depends on who you ask. You know, I think that for me, and we won't get too heavy in the politics, but I think that for him to achieve that level, that highest level, that position that a Black man has ever, he's the first. And so in that regards, I think that he was definitely successful. But on the flip side, there's some folks who felt that he should have done more. So on the other side, he was not successful, to those folks who think that he should have done more. But again, I see what you're trying to do, Dr. Lola. It's like, you know, it depends on which side, of the, or the aisle that you're looking at when you're talking.
How do you measure his success? Exactly. Who else? Who thinks President Obama succeeded? It was a success as a president. Doesn't matter if you like him or you don't like him. It's not about liking him or not. Did he succeed as a president? So if you measure him by, and that's part of the issue, right? There's so many measures of success. If you say as a president, did he win the next election? Which is a good measure that some people must have liked him enough, and he must have done a certain amount of good, or he must have done enough for people to vote him in again, then he succeeded. Simple. So he did, let's just say he did. Let's leave it at that. But you see, so metrics is a problem, right? As a father, is he successful? As a husband? I can't answer that, right? I'm not Michelle. I can't answer that. And I'm not his daughters, but we don't know. It appears that he did from the perception of how, what's in the papers and things like that, but we don't know. He's going to be the better answer, to be able to answer that. But as an individual, which I think is the most important part, that, I would love to sit down in front of him and ask him, President Barack Obama, as an individual, did you meet your own terms and definition of what qualifies you as a success? I don't know. I hope maybe one day I'll get to ask him, and I want to know what are his metrics that defines his success as a human being. Maybe it was for him to become the president of the United States of America, and that was his success measure, and he was happy to achieve that. All fine and good. Or maybe he wanted to be president and do this and this and this, but he didn't do that. And so in his mind, everybody thinks a lot of people think he's the Barack Obama that is so amazingly successful, but in his heart, he doesn't feel successful, so that is that. From what Michelle Obama said, she said for Barack, success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives. So even putting that into context, it would be, Barack, did you make the impact that you wanted to make in the lives of people when you set out to be the president of the United States? That's a question that I can't answer for him. So we're going to go into challenges. Some of the issue about success is, and I've alluded to a few of them, is that how do you even measure it, right? Because number one, there's a societal definition of success that doesn't stand true, in my opinion, and that puts a lot of pressure on us. That's number one. Number two, how do you measure success, right? Because it is so relative, it is subjective. And that also puts some pressure on us. Number three, there's so many challenges that, okay, let's perchance you've even decided that, okay, these are your measures of success. There are things that may impact how you will achieve that success, that your said success, that, okay, I want to be president, or I want to become a professor at Hopkins, or I want to become an entrepreneur, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And some of them might be academic, right? You're not able to do what you set out to do academically. You came to Hopkins, you wanted to do a PhD, for some reason you flunked out. I mean, highly unlikely, but it does happen. And so you had deemed yourself a failure. Is that accurate? Are you a failure? Anyone? If you get to Hopkins, you signed up for a PhD, and you failed. You didn't complete your PhD.
I think it depends on the circumstances in which you flunked out. I mean, if you had like a horrible, debilitating disease, or you suddenly, something happened and you couldn't complete it, that was outside of your control, then I would say not. But if you didn't put the work in and, you sort of just partied it up, that's why you didn't finish it. Maybe you weren't so successful.
I agree. I completely agree with you. And that is the mindset. But then how would you feel? Sometimes they say the outcome determines that. How would you feel either way, though? The question is, are you a failure, or are you not unsuccessful? So you didn't finish your PhD. If I come to you, let's say you had a debilitating disease, if I asked you, how do you feel? Do you feel like a failure? What would you say? Well, I mean, I can't ask you that. You know what I'm saying? We're just role playing here. Idealistically, it would be, so nobody knows the reasons why you failed, but looking from the outside, somebody says, oh, that guy flunked his PhD. They don't know he had a debilitating disease. They don't know whatever reason, right? And he did have a debilitating disease. So the outside perception is that guy failed. But how would you feel? And what I'm trying to point out is, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things what everybody thinks on the outside, What matters most is what you think and how you feel and how you take it. Because like you said, if you party it up, you know you deserve this failure. You have failed. But if you had a debilitating disease, would you feel like a failure? Or if you had to take care of somebody in your household that was so that you couldn't continue, would you feel like a failure? Or would you feel like a success that you put in the work, but then you had to leave because of one reason or the other? So the point I'm trying to make here, that yes, you would have academic challenges for one reason or the other, that you didn't complete the things you were supposed to, you didn't reach the goals, like the definition of success, achieving or attaining your set goals or aims. Sometimes we don't achieve them, but it doesn't make us a failure. It doesn't mean that we're not the success that we set out to be. Because things will come, things are not black and white. Things will come along the way that would deter us or that would affect us that we have no control over. But that doesn't make us failures. We haven't achieved our goals or our aims, but that doesn't make us failures. So that's that. Financial, you need money, right? The challenge is money, right? Whether we like it or not, money will always be a part of the perception of success. So money is a challenge. Sometimes you need money to be more successful, chicken and the egg. Just like an entrepreneur, you want to start a business, you need money to start the business. Not all businesses start with money, but some businesses you need that fund, right? How are you going to get it? And sometimes it really debilitates you. Or you need money to do something else that's going to, even to pay for school. I mean, we know stories of people that don't progress academically or one other reason because of financial reasons. Again, that's a challenge in achieving the success that you set out to achieve. But what I'm saying is that those challenges, one, they're alternatives, right? You have to find a way. But those challenges don't have to define whether you're a success or a failure. They're just part of your story. So that's where I'm going with that. And same thing with social cultural challenges, right? Some of us come from patriarchal societies. I'm Nigerian American. Nigeria is a patriarchal society. There are a lot of other African countries that are patriarchal. There are Asian countries that are patriarchal. India is patriarchal, right? So they suppress women. You can't do certain things. Women are not expected to reach certain levels. I mean, it has changed now, and it's changing now. And so your success, the level at which you can, like, I can dream a million dreams. I can, do so many things. But if I'm not culturally allowed to speak, then I cannot be on TV. I cannot be doing Zoom. You know what I mean? So but that doesn't mean I can I'm not going to lose my voice because I'm not going to lose my voice because I'm not allowed to speak. So I'm not a failure. I'm just hindered by my social cultural circumstances. And this is not, I can't get into so many ways in which, because we don't have enough time to say that, hey, this is what you need to do to get out of it. But the point is that identifying that you don't lose your voice. You don't let the social cultural inhibitions or issues affect who you truly are and stop you from achieving the things you really want, because that is part of who you are, right? And that helps you. I mean, they're just challenges that are not insurmountable. We've had stories and cases of people that have had these challenges and they've surmounted them. We have to find ways to surmount the challenges that we have to get to where we want to. They're just a roadblock. And they actually add to the story, right? That, okay, I came from this country that women are not allowed to talk, and then I did this and I did that and I succeeded. So these are just challenges that they're part of your story. You might not be able to do it at a particular time. It doesn't mean you're never going to be able to do it. So those are some of the, or sexism, right? I mean, even in the United States, we had women couldn't vote at some point in time in this great United States. And over time, things have changed. So, that's just some of the cultural things. Professional, somebody talked about professional, not getting the career opportunities that you want. That is a big one, right? We're very ambitious people. Well, not everybody, but some of us are ambitious. Like, we want to be X, Y, and Z. We strive and we strive, but like we said, success takes time. right? Put in the work, and I'm going to say a few things later, but I think it's important to put in the work, right? Do the right things as best as you can and putting in the work. Not getting where you want to at a particular time doesn't mean you're never going to get it. So that's that. Personal, there's some of the personal hindrances that we have, like limiting beliefs. Shakita's coach mind is going to come up here. I'm assuming some people will know what limiting beliefs are. Does anybody know what they are? Limiting beliefs, except Shakita. Shakita, you can't answer that.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Does anybody know what limiting beliefs are?
Your team. I was supposed to help join up the team.
If I can take a stab at it. Oh, just like Barbara just said in the chat, like internalized oppression. It's just basically when you set a limit for yourself and just say, I can't go anything beyond this. I'm not bigger than, I can't amount to anything beyond this. It is impossible. And you've actually said it and accepted it as truth.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way Barbara put it, internalized oppression. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a state of mind, a conviction or belief that you think to be true that limits you in some way, but there's no fact to it. There's no truth to it, right? Something that is not based in truth, but you take as a truth. In other words, it's like it's mythical, but you accept it as fact. Limiting beliefs inhibit us from being successful so much more than anything else. All these other things that I've said, some people that are successful, it's not because I'm sure you wonder sometimes, well, maybe you don't, but some people wonder sometimes that how is this person that is less educated, less informed, less this than me, and appears to be so successful? Well, the person doesn't have that many limiting beliefs. The person has so much confidence and believes in the BS that they're spewing. You know what I mean? You need to get rid of your limiting beliefs because they hinder us so much in life, and just stops us from doing. Classic example from a person that comes from Nigeria. Use myself, limiting beliefs. Oh, because I'm a foreigner. I'm foreign. I'm foreign, and so I can't get to the top, right? And so I'm not even going to try. Or a good one. A lot of people are like, oh, how did you get to Hopkins? Like, it's so hard. They only take like 1%. So I'm not even going to try. Those are limiting beliefs, right? It's just, why are you not going to try? Does somebody want to say something?
Yes, Dr. Lola. I would agree with you. And I think that those, I know I will say that I struggled with some of those beliefs when growing up in a single parent household. My mom had me at 16. And so there was this stigma like, okay, well, her mom had her at 16. She's going to have a child at 16. And that was so scary for me. And so I did everything that I could do in my little old self to not have children at an early age. I don't have any children yet, but that was a limiting belief. And I just had that in the back of my mind that if I had children at an early age, I wouldn't be successful. But my mom, she surpassed that story, and she's doing well.
That's really great. Yeah. Does anybody want to share anything about how a limiting belief has stopped them from achieving something that they really know that they should achieve or they can achieve? I know it might be a difficult thing to share in a forum with a lot of people, but basically it's just that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I identified with what you said about being a foreigner because I've only been in the States for let's say the North America for 5 years. But when I first got here, I really did feel less than. And looking at my counterparts, looking at people who even were foreigners themselves, somehow I believed that just because I came at the time when I did, I was not going to be able to graduate or even achieve or move further beyond my undergraduate. But luckily, I graduated that. And even more so, I'm applying to universities to pursue further education, something that I did not think I would like be doing at this point in time. So that's
Exactly. And that's the thing. We need to get rid of our limiting beliefs, because more than anything, they impact us from achieving our successes, the things that we know that we need to achieve or we want to achieve and we can achieve. And more important, that makes us happy, right? And that's when we have to do that which makes us happy. You know, I always say sometimes we need to do what we need to do to get by. You know, you have to work, you have to go to school, but life is not worth living if you can't do what you're passionate about. You know, you don't want to live a miserable, mundane life. So, I don't know how many people sit around and ponder how successful they are until they are asked. And it's actually something that occurs as a byproduct of hard work, diligence, focus, and a host of other attributes that I'm going to talk about a little bit more. It might also come to mind in a discussion like this when you're assessing your life's worth or value. So, but in all scenarios, understanding what success means to you as an individual is paramount in determining how your answers will impact your life. So I'm going to ask, I know we alluded to it. I was asking who is a successful person, but can somebody tell me what success means to them? If you've never thought about what success means to you, you need to think about it today. So tell me what success means to you.
So I've thought a lot about it in terms of making a difference in people's lives. I struggle a little bit with like, how do you define the magnitude of that? Does that mean if I've touched one life or improved one person's life that's successful, or am I looking for more than that? Does it need to be I'm a national philanthropist who helps people all over the country or even the world, or where do you kind of draw that line is something that I think a lot about.
That's great. Where do you draw the line? And that's a really good question, and I'm glad that you thought about it. Making a difference in people's lives. How? How do you make a difference in people's lives? How have you thought to do that? How have you thought to do that, Kathy?
Oh, I have you on the spotlight, Kathy.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't letting me unmute myself, but okay. So I would say I've tried to do that through my career path. I'm obviously in the medical field, like a lot of you. I'm trying to help patients. Also in how I spend my time outside of work, trying to be with family and friends and make their lives a little bit happier or better, and volunteering with different organizations that might be a little bit different than my career, but other ways that I want to help people.
Yeah. And I think it's, and I asked that because I wanted to get a little bit more clarity, and I think it's extremely important. Well, I think you've done a phenomenal job in the first place defining what success means to you, making a difference in people's lives. Now, defining the magnitude, because I think once you define it, it gives you a little bit more, it helps you put things into perspective. And once you start doing it, you have this kind of feel-good kind of feeling. But when you start, what I think, not worrying, but the magnitude, if you impact, what is the value of one person's life? If you can save one person's life or impact the life of one person, is that enough for you, right? Is that impactful enough for you? Because when you talk about magnitude, you also have to you have to be realistic in terms of like, how many people can you actually impact over the course of your life? You don't know, right? So it's really difficult to say that, hey, I'm going to put a number to this, right? I'm not going to tell you what your measure should be or your magnitude should be, but what I would say is that, does there even have to be a number, right? As long as you're able to do what you set out to do, is make an impact in the people, because you can't be counting, right? Like, okay, I impacted this person's life today, well, I impacted that person's life tomorrow, right? As long as you're doing that, I think you're successful, right? You're doing that in which is a measure of your success, a measure of your happiness. And also, does this make you happy? If the answers to all of this is yes, 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 I think you're successful. At least in my definition of success. It doesn't matter. My definition doesn't matter. But in your definition of success is making a difference in people's lives, I think you're hitting it. It doesn't matter if it's one person, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people. I mean, the more the merrier, but the point is that you are actually purposefully doing what you set out to do. You're achieving your aim and your goals or whatever, but you're actually achieving what you set out to do, and it's making you happy. I think that's the most important thing. Does anybody else have a definition of success?
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of add to that. I struggle with defining success, and I think I like how, Kathy, how you put it around like the limiting or kind of defining what that is, because I feel like for me, it's being able to accomplish my goals, but my goals continue to keep growing and growing. And a lot of times I compare myself to others around me as well, and their kind of path that they take. And although I might have a completely different path, it's always kind of a little bit more superficial in that sense. Like, oh, how come I'm not like there yet? Or I have more to go. So I do struggle with defining that and even kind of being happy with how I define it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know, to define success, you have to know what matters most to you. And mattering most to you is what is of value to you. I'm going to tell you what's of value to me. That might help you. So I know we don't have too much time, so I'm going to keep going a little bit. But thank you for sharing that. Maybe some of my answers will help you a little bit better. So, you know, like it or not, a lot of us will have had successes in our lives, even though we may not necessarily think that we've had successes, right? It doesn't mean that we've not failed. God knows I failed many times. But when I sum up all my successes and my failures, and I subtract my failures, I know that I'm successful. And right now, I don't care about success anymore. I'm only trying to excel, right? When they ask me, oh, are you successful? I mean, people ask me the definition of success. I'm going to tell you what my definition is, but for me, success is not the matter. It's not the issue. It's not the point. I'm only trying to excel. I've hit success a long time ago. I'm trying to excel right now. So that's where I am. And so success is not an all-sum game. It's not a take it or leave it. It's not all or nothing. It's not a one-time event. It has so many layers. You know, it's multiple events. It's multiple chances to succeed, and therefore multiple definitions. So what you were saying is that, you know, because to define it, you have to have what makes you happy, period. And what is most important to you, and what makes you happy, and what do you want to do about it. I think that those are the points. But it changes over time, and it can change, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because your situation today is not your situation tomorrow. And then it's, how do you even measure that you're being successful? Because like I said, if you can't measure the impact, how do you know you're doing something positive? For me, it's the way I currently live my life and how I get to impact the lives of others. Not because I have to, but because I choose to. And so with Kathy, she wants to impact the lives of others. I do too. And I am impacting. I don't know how many people I'm impacted, but for sure, I know I'm impacting people's lives. I can see it, right? People tell me. I can feel it. I do it, you know. And when you identify what you want to do, you write down steps on how you want to achieve those things. And for me, it's not about what other people think, because you have to be careful about that, right? If you're gonna set yourself up big time if you compare yourself to others. I know that we're human beings and we try to compare ourselves to others, but we can't do that. You have to define it in your own terms. So basically, now we're going to how to define success. You have to first define it in your own terms, as it applies to you and only you. Forget your sister, your family, the society, how it applies to you. What matters most to you, not to your parents, not to society, but to you. Granted, this may change over time, and that's okay, but define it, understand what it takes to achieve it, and strive towards it. Now, one of the attributes of being successful is that you are not in competition with others, and do not measure your success by the measures of others. In a way, you're in competition with yourself alone. I always say, I tell myself, I don't have time. I'm just competing with myself. I'm trying to be better at everything that I do. What I did, if I did something 10 minutes yesterday, I want to do it in 9 minutes today. So I only compete with myself. Another attribute of being a successful person or achieving success is believing in yourself, right? And your achievements, big and small. And as I said earlier, there will be many successes you will have in your life, and you will have some failures, but when you list them and you measure them, you will see that you are a successful person. Another attribute for achieving success is understanding the power of being enough. You know, the enough is a determiner, right? When used in any of the forms that it's being used as an adjective, adverb, or pronoun, it suggests that the same thing occurring in such quality, or scope as to fully meet the demands or needs or expectations. When you say enough, when you change the intent of the word and give it it gives a negative connotation. So, and the impact is more than you would ever have intended. So you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You are not successful enough. Successful doesn't need a qualifier. You're either successful or you're not successful. Don't add, if you can say you're not successful enough, that means you are successful. Take out the enough. Why do we have to say we're not successful enough? We're not pretty enough. We're not this enough. If you say you're not pretty enough, that means you are pretty in the first place. So when you say I'm not successful enough, like, come on, you are successful. Just take out enough, okay? Successful doesn't need any qualifiers. And success is not something that you are trying to achieve. Meaning I am trying to become a successful entrepreneur. No. Being an entrepreneur and going through the highs and the lows, and even if you start or crash after 3 years of hard work, that doesn't make you a failed entrepreneur. It actually makes you a successful entrepreneur who ran the race for 3 years and ran out of breath before the finish line. So you succeeded, right? You're not a failure. And that's okay. And so when you ask yourself about success, it makes you think more critically about your actions and their outcomes. If you have been fortunate to define them, you're able to identify if you are heading in the right direction and doing everything that you need to do to achieve your goals and successes. And so whatever you decide that your definition is, it's not finite, right? It's not like this is a definition of success. It changes over time. And there are trade-offs, right? For instance, if your definition is financial wealth, right? You want to be rich, super rich. So your definition is money. As long as I have $1 million of cash in my bank account, I am successful. But is $1 million enough? Or is your success $1 billion? Where does it end? How far are you willing to go? And are you willing to do everything you need to do to say that, hey, I want to have $1 billion in my bank account? Do you know what that takes? Are you ready for the trade-offs? Because I read an article and the guy was saying that he was with successful people and the guy asked him, is he successful? And he said, well, he doesn't think he's successful because his kids hate him, he's going through his 3rd divorce, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the trade-offs. Not saying that if you're a billionaire, you're gonna have a miserable life. No, but in the eyes of everybody, you're a successful billionaire, but your family life, you know. Michelle Obama, I listened to one of her speeches or talks, and she said she only works 3 days a week. I was like, that's a great life. Talk about work-life balance. She was the First Lady, but she only worked 3 days a week because she wanted to be a First Lady, but she also wanted to be a mom, and she had to balance her life. That is being successful. She didn't care about being well, I guess she cared to some extent, but the point is that she could have kept on going 5 days a week, boom, 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 to be everywhere and do everything, but that didn't matter to her. It was more important to her to be a successful mom as well. And I think she did a great job in balancing both of them. Somebody's saying something.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we have something in the chat. You want me to read it? We had a lot of comments in the chat.
Yeah, the chat is busy. Yeah.
They said success is discovering my life's purpose and living it out. Barbara, values matter to me. So working in the service of others makes me feel I earn my keep. in the world. I work hard on not patting myself on the back though. Okay. Melanie, she gave a comment. She said, definitely say success is a journey. It is not this one destination. I feel as long as you did what you could to make you happy that day, you succeeded that day. And let's see what Kate had to say. This is one of my favorite quotes that I think about a lot when I try to define success: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, endure the betrayal of false friends, amen to that, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world in a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that quote.
That's beautiful. And that's true. You know, I mean, all the definitions of success are important and valid, plus one, plus one, plus one. It's true, because what is key is that they are your definitions of success. They are all yours. You own them. And it's how they impact you that matters most. Do they make you happy? And do you measure them your own way? And so I ask you, right, what matters most to you? Does it matter for you to be the president of the United States? Is that your measure of success? Or do you want to be a superstar athlete, singer, celebrity, which is amazing? Or do you want to be more like a non-celebrity me, who I'm able to work from home? My success is I'm able to work from home 24/7 pre-COVID. I run my businesses, you know, from home, and I'm able to do everything that I can do. And I have the confidence that I will always have a source of income. You know, I work hard by the grace of God, knowing that I employ people and I provide for them and their families. I know that my work impacts the lives of others positively, even when they cannot say thank you. I feel it in my heart. Do you call that success, or do you call that meh? So, you know, I call that success. You don't have to call that success. But the point is, whatever you define your success to be, it should be yours. You need to own it, and you need to move with it. I'm going to give you a case in point. I have a friend who we were introduced work-wise. She was doing something. She was a consultant for me, and beautiful young woman, married. She doesn't have any kids. So I'm going to ask you, I need somebody to tell me the answer to this. This is her story. She's great job. If I mention her name, you might know her. But the point is, she has no kids. According to everybody, she's successful. According to her mother, she's unsuccessful. Her mother and the way she grew up, her brother has kids and this and that. But she told me she purposefully, and I was shocked. She's like, I'm not going to have kids. And I decided not to have kids. I don't want to have kids. Like, when I was a young girl, I wanted to. And she's not that old. She's like, what, 40 now, right? So she could have, but she said, I'm not going to have kids. My husband doesn't want to. I don't want to. I changed my mind. So, but you know, coming from her parents, big family, church-going people, like, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have kids to pass everything on to, you're not successful. You have failed. So her family thinks she's a failure. She thinks her friends in her society thinks she's a success. So is she a success or a failure? Can anybody tell me?
So that would be dependent on what she herself feels, right?
Right.
Like if she feels like she's a success, then she is.
What is your opinion?
Oh, my opinion? I think she is.
Okay, good. Yeah, so that's the point. I don't care what her mother thinks. She's a success. Not everybody has to have kids to be happy and to be successful. And so the last thing I'm going to say, if you want to take one thing away from this conversation today, success is not an end product. It is a byproduct, right? So don't set your sights on achieving success, but on doing the best in everything you come across, and success will surely follow. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
That was such an awesome presentation. Dr. Lola, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I don't know about you all, but I definitely, this session, I felt like it definitely resonated with
Thanks,
us.
Louie.
Yes, and you gave us
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks,
a
everyone.
lot to think about, you know, and I think that the one takeaway that I draw from this session is that we have to just do what makes us happy.
That's right.
Right?
Do what makes you
Do
happy.
what makes us happy. And I want to just thank each and every one of you all for taking the time to be here this afternoon. And the fact that you're here, it says a lot. It speaks volumes. We have, I was just writing in my journal the other day, and you don't realize how, I didn't realize when the pandemic first hit, how significant and how great this impact would be, the negative impact that it would have, not only on the United States, but on the world. And I think that the fact that we are here every day, showing up in spite of all the negativity that is happening around the world, the fact that you are here and we are all here, that is a success.
That's
because
right.
there are some folks who are not doing well because of this pandemic. They have lost loved ones, they've lost jobs, they've lost, the financial ability to be here. So the fact that you all keep getting up and keep coming and pressing forward in the light of this, you are successful. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all had a great time here. I hope that you have a great rest of the week. I'm just full. Now I got to think about the definition for my success. I got to think about it.
You guys can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yes. All right.
On
So
LinkedIn.
I'm going to stop rambling. Dr. Lola, thank you again. And can you let them know how they can find you or connect with you after today?
Yeah, Dr. Lola Adeyemi on LinkedIn and Instagram. And my social media game is not that good, but find me on LinkedIn. I tried that. Dr. Lola.
I will link it. I will send the recording after once it loads up, and I will make sure I provide Dr. Lola's contact. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye.